Yo, yo, yo. Welcome everybody to Crackers College Hoops Summer Swolapalooza series. We're just going to get back into it as soon as we can, starting today. We've got a long summer ahead of us before basketball season starts in November. The team is practicing hard. It's time for me to start working hard. All the local guys, the Kevin Lytles and Justin Michaels, are starting to work hard. Everybody's getting into it, and I'm here. We're basically going to spend some time today talking about the practice I attended yesterday. It was the first practice I've had a chance to attend. The team practice, I believe, a couple of times last week, but yesterday was the one where they opened it up to the media. And as you know, CSU is very, very open in terms of working with people. There's not an issue with me getting to watch practice. They're very, very encouraging and led by previously by Coach Medved, now new coach Ali Farokhmanesh. And we're here to get the Farokhmanesh era started. And I'm excited about this. This is going to be a fun team. And what we're going to do is I'll go over some of the things. I put some stuff out on social media, but I'll go over some of the things I saw, maybe get into a little more detail than anything I've covered in social media. And I'll give you a little idea of the inspiration behind today's show. Originally, I was going to try and do a show this evening with one of the new players. I actually reached out to Brandon Recksteiner, transfer guard from Virginia Tech, played 2 years there, coming to CSU. And we were going back and forth, and I talked to them a little bit of practice yesterday, and we were trying to work out the best time. And then I realized, the NBA finals are tonight at 6:30, and I didn't want to do a show tonight. And I not that I was going to watch the game. I'm not a big fan of the NBA. I think everybody knows that, but I wanted to make sure everybody else had the chance to watch it, so I didn't want to interfere with that. Anyway, I'll probably start with Brandon. Brandon, we'll see if we can get Brandon on next week. Do a series of shows. Do at least one a week, and maybe even two a week, because there's a lot of ground to cover with so many new players, so many new coaches. But I want to tell you what inspired me or what motivated me to do this show today. And I think people are dying for information, whether it's from me, whether it's from Kevin, whether it's from Justin. Justin did a great show this morning. I encourage you to go out onto DNVR Rams. He talked about a whole variety of things, including yesterday's practice. And it's his view, and Justin's got a great eye, and he's a great friend. So I encourage you to go out and take a look at that stuff. But I put something out on social media yesterday, just one of the photos I put out, and let me see if I can pull it up. I put out this photo of Coach Dave Pilipovich, and it's just a simple tweet where Coach Pilipovich joined Ali's staff this year, and he had coached at Air Force as an assistant for several years, and then as a head coach for several years. Very successful head coach. No coach has won more than 16 games in about the last 15, 20 years. He won 18 games in the year 2013 in his first year as a head coach. He left Air Force and went to New Mexico and spent 4 years at New Mexico, first under Paul Weir, then stayed and worked under Richard Pitino Jr. And the reason I was inspired to do this show was, if you look at the likes on a simple photo, and all I did was I just said, I've been watching this guy for a good part of 20 years, 15 or 20 years in the Mountain West, wearing Air Force blue and New Mexico cherry and silver. But I think he looks best in green. Welcome, Coach Pilipovich. And I had over 6,000 people view, tons of likes, tons of comments from people like Jim Arthur, who's the play-by-play guy from Air Force, basically saying there's no one better. Comments from Jesse Kurtz, who is second in charge of the Mountain West Conference underneath Gloria Navarez. And Jesse had kind things. Comments from, and actually a very funny comment from a guy named Kurt Roth, who is the leader of the collective at New Mexico. And he basically said, say what you want, but he can never look better than anything but cherry and silver. And it was a nice, fun jab, and I enjoyed it. Anyway, that's what inspired me to do the show. People were into this stuff. And I obviously have a lot of fans from CSU, but I have people from around the Mountain West because of the show we do. I do the with Mountain West show with Tom Moser. I'll talk a little bit more about Tom later, but it was that response, all the responses that inspired me to do the show. There's people looking for a lot of content. So I've got some comments already. Joey B's in the house. Well, giving us a nooner cast. And of course, giving me gas, needs new sneakers. CSU better hook him up. Got to beat Justin Michaels at the sneaker contest. There's no way I'm going to beat Justin at the sneaker contest. Different generation. I have old man Brooks shoes for walking the dog, and that's it. Here we go. Let's go from Aaron. Anyway, here we go. Joey with a comment. Pilipovich, the lifer, looks like he's ready to put a full court press on a Mexicali Cafe sweet pork burrito. Joey, you're into the sweet pork. My wife is into the sweet pork. Hey, I've got a new feature here. Let's see how this looks. They've added a new feature to my software. I'm supposed to be able to show the comments. They're not showing up. Anyway, let's not worry about that for now. I've got the background. We'll talk a little bit about the background in a second. But before I go too much further, I'm going to say a brief word. Again, a sponsor, none other than the great people at Highland Meadows. Let me get this up. The Swollopalooza Summer Series. Here we are. Highland Meadows, the good people there. Highland Meadows Golf Course, located in Windsor, Colorado, the premier public golf facility in northern Colorado. Beautiful 18-hole course. By the way, admire my new t-shirt. I did stop at the bookstore yesterday. I needed orange. There's a reason I'm wearing orange, and I'll tell you about that, why I got a new orange shirt. I'll tell you about that a little bit too. But Highland Meadows is a beautiful 18-hole course, prides itself on providing tournament conditions on a daily basis. On top of that, a staff that's dedicated to a level of service and an on-course experience unsurpassed by any public facility in the area. And to complete the experience, you get a full-service restaurant. We can finish off a round with a wonderful craft beer. Nashville chicken sandwich has always been one of my favorites. But the other thing I wanted to mention, and I don't have a QR code for this, but you can give them a call. You know, the 4th of July is fast approaching. And if you notice, golf courses get very, very booked around here, especially Highland Meadows, well in advance. And it's hard to get a tee time. And if you have a group that wants to play on the 4th of July, I'd encourage you to start thinking about booking a tee time. Now, normally tee times at Highland Meadows are 8 days in advance, but they have a feature called advanced booking. It can't be done online, can't be done electronically, but it can be done via a simple phone call to Highland Meadows, to the staff there. And for a mere $5 per person, so $20 extra for a foursome, you can call them up and you can book a tee time 14 days in advance. And if you look at what today's date is, it's what, the 19th? 11 days till the end of the month, 4 days till 4th of July. 4th of July, they'll start taking tee times for 4th of July tomorrow, 14 days in advance. It's a great feature. I encourage people to take advantage of that. So next time you stop by, tell them, make sure you tell Chad, Zach, Drew, Jim, how much you appreciate them being a sponsor for the show. So with that, I'm gonna move on. Let's start talking about the team. And I put up a video yesterday. I'm gonna pull it up. Give you a second here. And it basically, you know, you show up and I'm having a little trouble there. This is a video having a little squirrely problem. Let's let's get that here for now. Let me set it up a little better. Anyway, I showed up. And of course, I ran into Ryan Pfeiffer, who's the associate athletic director in charge of marketing and communications, oversees the media, and he was there. He shook his hand. He was on the phone, of course, a real busy guy. And I ran into Kevin, ran into Justin, and did my chatting with them, watching just simple drills. And teams were split into groups of 7, green shirts and white shirts. And I wouldn't assume anything from this other than just guys trying to get some work together. And you can assume that Ali and staff have identified the guys that they really want to get working together, and it's the new guys. It's the guys out of the portal. And so the green team featured 2 holdovers, 2 bigs, Rashad Mbemba and Nicola Joppa. But the other 5 were newcomers. Guard, as I mentioned, Brandon Rechsteiner, who's a guard. You had Josh Pasquarelli, a 6'2" shooting guard who transferred from Marist. You had Jace Butler, 6'4" sophomore guard who transferred from Washington. CSU had recruited him previously, a 4-star recruit. You had Jeban Muniz, who transferred from Florida Gulf Coast. And you had Augie Kiadoulis, 6'8" forward who's from Lithuania, but via VMI. And those were the guys working together. The white group included holdovers Kyle Jorgensen, who played a bunch last year and will be a key part of the team this year. 2 returning redshirt freshmen, Darnez Slater and John McConan. And then also Carrie Booth, who came to the team out of the portal from a 4-star player in high school, recruited twice by CSU, transferred from Illinois. And then a couple of freshmen, Docker Tedeschi, 6'8" forward from Illinois, and 6'2" guard Jojo McIver from Texas. Charlie Dortch. And am I missing anybody? I don't think I'm missing anybody. I might be. My gosh, I tried to remember all 14 of them. Anyway, split into white and green, and they did group, just learning the offense. So you had some ball movement things. You had some, little three-man actions with screens and backdoor cuts, and you had, not just back screens, backdoor cuts. Dishes for threes, things like that. So it's learning the movement, learning the motion that's important to generate to run this CSU offense, and guys getting comfortable playing with each other. Now, why do they do this? Obviously, to learn the offense, but I will tell you right now where this team is at. It is so new, and this is not an offense you learn in a day. This is not a high screen pick and roll. Get into the paint and then just distribute the ball, either go to the basket, pass the ball to the big, or throw the ball to a wing for an open 3. There's a lot of stuff that goes on in terms of movement, screening, cutting. And Ali put something out about a week ago on social media where and basically it was an interview with him where he talked about the importance of understanding that you need to learn in this offense to pass the ball. And the reason you learn how to pass the ball is because you're going to get the ball back. That's how this thing is meant to run, with all the movement, all the ball movement, all the people movement. You do not have to do a lot in terms of creating your own shot. If you're moving and cutting and passing the ball, you are more likely to get a good shot by giving up the ball than you are doing it all on your own. And so that's what a lot of the drills are built around, is getting comfortable with the offense and doing that. And I got to tell you, after the practice, Ali reiterated that's still a major goal right now. So let's see if there's comments. any players missing from practice? No, Taylor. That was a good thing. Was no one was missing. Last year, Rashawn was injured, and Nicola wasn't here. I believe Nicola was working on with the national team. So that was really encouraging, and they all looked good. Rashawn practiced the whole practice. His hamstrings were a little tight at the end, but it's always good to see Rashawn practicing. Anyway, I'm gonna bring the video up, because it's a very, there's just a couple of highlights here, and then what I'll do is I will talk about the players, and just give a kind of a brief summary of what I saw. I'm having trouble showing it. It's not showing live action here. I don't know what's going on. It's being really slow. I'll just talk through it. You can go to Twitter. It was a transition 3 off his athleticism. Split 3 or 4 defenders. I will tell you right now, and I'll get into Carey a little more detail, but he's a heck of an athlete. The highlight on the left is basically a simple, typical CSU action. And obviously, as I walk through it, you'll see a back screen by Pasquarelli in the paint, popping out to shoot a 3 and making a 3. How many times did we see that with Lake, with Isaiah Stevens in past teams? Lake, even Kyan Evans. So there it is right there. And of course, he drilled the 3. So let me pull that out for now and go back to me on the screen. Let's start talking about the individual players. I don't draw any conclusions about one play here or there. I just wanted to show some highlights and realize these are first impressions. This is the first time I've seen these guys play, and I thought Justin did a great job giving his first impressions. I'm going to give mine, and I'll start with. Let me start with Brandon Rechsteiner, built like a rock. About supposedly 6'1". I'm going to guess 6 feet. A little taller than Bowen Bourne, a little bigger, but little taller. I say a lot bigger. He is built like a frickin' rock. And let me take a step back. Every one of these guys that I'm going to talk about, or most of them, are really put together. These are all Division I bodies. And I haven't asked Ali if that was an intent of bringing people in, of not having so many projects. But I spent some time before practice. I talked with Jason Phillips, who's the strength and conditioning coach. And I said, boy, these guys look pretty well put together. They look like they're in pretty good shape. And his basic comment back to me was, this team is ahead of last year in terms of that. They're way ahead of last year in terms of that. And it's not that we don't have any projects, but and not that we don't have a lot of work to do, but they are already well on their way. And Brandon was a perfect example of that. He's really well put together. Now, in terms of his game, I would categorize him. I remember talking to Ali a couple of months ago, back in April, and the way he categorized Brandon was good lead guard, but and will fit very, very well running the point in our offense, but can also play off the ball. Very good shooter. Didn't necessarily show up because of Virginia Tech offense, but he's one of those guys that he wants the ball in his hands. He wants to be an initiator. He buries open 3-pointers. I saw him make his open 3-pointers. So real good shooter. He will fit into this offense. He will learn it. It will be, you could see Ali spent a lot of time with him on the side. Let me see. I think I have a picture of those guys. I'm trying to find it. There it is. Let's bring that up. So there they are, and this is Ali working with his working what I believe will be his starting point guard, showing him kinds of things to look for. This is it's an offense that, as you know, if you watch it, we were spoiled 2 years ago with Isaiah Stevens. We were spoiled for 5 years with him. And last year, a little less so, but still a very good player in Kyan Evans, who we lost to North Carolina. But Brandon will be the guy expected to take the reins, and he won't be alone, but he will be, I think, the guy expected to take the reins. And like I said, wants the ball in his hands. Saw him fire a couple of good passes, cross-court passes, good actions, and can bury the open jumper as well. So he'll score. He'll have the assists. He'll do what it takes, I think. Anyway, another guard. Let's talk about Josh Pasquarelli. My first impressions of him. Lethal shooter. He averaged about 15, 16 points a game for Marist in the MAC or the MEAC, is it Mid-Atlantic or yeah, it's the Mid-Atlantic, the MAC, Mid-Atlantic Athletic Conference. Same conference with Iona, same conference that had Walter Clayton Jr. for 2 years at Iona, who transferred to Florida and led Florida to a national title. And so this is a conference that produces really, really good players. This is a guy who can score. As you can see, well put together, 6'2", probably 190, 195 pounds. And I asked him, I talked with him after practice. Well, we'll get him on the show. We'll get to meet him even more down the road. But I talked to Josh after practice. I said, do you see yourself as the next Walter Clayton? He said, I'm not. He didn't really say he was. I was trying to ask leading questions. He wasn't going that far. He said before he was at Marist, he saw Walter Clayton Jr. play for Iona and said he was an absolutely dominant player as a sophomore at Iona, and so he didn't want to compare himself to that. But he'll be a player. And I had somebody ask me on Twitter earlier today, are there any definite starters in this group? And my reaction was, I'd lean. I don't go definites right now. These guys are only a week into practice, and you've got 4 months before October before they start finalizing things. But if I were to guess, I would guess that Pasquarelli and Rex Steiner will be the starting backcourt. Just a guess. Not based on anything other than I think they're just ahead physically and ahead in terms of skill than the others they're competing with. But the third guy I want to talk about is a guy who could very easily walk into the starting lineup, and I'm dying to see if he does. Jaylen Butler. This kid, 6'4", about 200 pounds. I'm trying to think of a good comp for him because he's really well put together, very athletic. And I thought he showed a lot of savvy in the practice, a pretty good understanding of what's going on. His movement is good. There's a lot of versatility here in terms of both offense and defense. And I saw him playing at kind of the 1, the 2, and the 3. And that says a lot. And if I were to look at where I think his role is headed, like I said, he could easily be a starter. This kid's a very good player, 4-star top 100 player out of the Bay Area, initially recruited at Illinois, ended up at Washington, didn't really get a great opportunity to play in the second half of the season as they got into the Big Ten schedule. But this kid's a player. And I can see this guy, I can see Jace being his role evolving. If he's not a starter, I can see him being kind of the key guy off the bench because I think he can fill at multiple positions really easily. And this is a guy that can play starters minutes coming off the bench, similar to what Jalen Lake did a few years ago. He has a little more versatility than Jaylen, but Jaylen would play the 2 and the 3. 2 years ago, Jaylen was considered a 6 starter. This is a guy who, if he doesn't start, will be a 6 starter. Very, very good player. I like the athleticism. The next guy, Augie Kiadoulis. I don't have any good pictures of him. I got him in the background. For some reason, I just couldn't get any good shots of him. It's my fault, not his. Maybe he was moving too fast in my slow movement with my camera. Couldn't take care of it. Anyway, Augie with the headband, and of course, everybody remembers Joe Palmer from 2 years ago, Headband Joe. And what's really interesting is when I looked at Augie with the headband, just because of the way he cut his hair, because of the way he's built, but he is big. He's 6'8" and about 215. I started thinking this guy could be known as Big Joe instead of Augie. But I mean, in all respect, we'll call him Augie, but I may call him Big Joe once or twice because he is so reminiscent. And I mean, he's a big guy, but really the thing that I liked about him was I saw some very versatile skills. He can shoot, he can put the ball on the floor, very fluid, very, very good about attacking on the bounce. And this is a guy, so if somebody says, is he going to start at the 4? I would say there's a good chance, but you don't know. Okay. But very, very skilled, very, very skilled player. And I'm going to enjoy watching him develop. Ali, he averaged about 15 points a game for VMI. And here's got a comment from Sam. Let's show this one. Reminds me of JJ Avila when he came in. Yeah, not as physical. He's a little taller, probably a little quicker. JJ was, I would categorize JJ as more power at 6'6" and about 230. But that is a good comp. Augie, I think, will do it more out of the 4 position, but similar kinds of skills, similar kind of movement. And if we can get an Avila level player, that would be great. You know, Ali had some really cool things to say about him when he started asking around about Augie. Augie played at VMI last year. He started his career at, I want to say Southern Illinois, Illinois State, one of those schools in the MAC conference, but ended up at VMI. And Ali did his asking around at the Southern Conference, and Ali knew some coaches in the Southern Conference. And one of the coaches he talked to, and I believe it was at Furman, said Augie was one of the 3 toughest guys to prepare for in the Southern Conference. So this is a guy who has, like I said, a lot of Europe, very much looks like a European with a lot of skills, very good movement, very fluid. Has a good understanding of the game. I think once he learns how to play within this offense, I think he could be a very, very good player. And if you said, held a gun to my head and you said, who would you start today? Well, he's a starter as of today. He's a really, really good player. So that's Augie. Let's talk Jeban Muniz. Jeban came here. Jeban 6'6", about 215 from Florida Gulf Coast. Started his career at Delaware State. Averaged I think 14 points a game his sophomore year at Delaware State. I think he was second team all conference. Transferred to Florida Gulf Coast for a year. 6'6", 215. This is a glue player if there ever was one. This is a guy that can start. This is a guy that can come off the bench. He can shoot. He can rebound. He can defend. He can pass. He can put the ball on the floor. Jeban will be a very, very solid piece in the rotation this year for CSU if he doesn't start. He could start at the 3. He could come off the bench. You could see him play both the 3 and the 4, but he'll get a good chunk of minutes, I believe, as well. Interesting part about him, if you haven't heard me talk about Jeban, is he's from the Lehigh Valley, just of Pennsylvania, just north of Philadelphia, and he was coached at the high school level by my good friend Tom Moser. Tom was a high school coach and a Division III coach back there, and of course Tom is my partner in crime on my Mountain West broadcasts. And when we have Jeban on, you can bet we're going to have Tom on as well. It's going to be a bit of a reunion. I introduced myself to Jeban. I said, yeah, I'm good friends with Tom Moser. He goes, oh, Tom, he's so excited. Tom coached me back in the high school days, and he was so excited about that. So anyway, we'll do that. We'll get to know Jeban a lot more sometime. We'll have him on this summer. And then, of course, the other guys left in the first seven, Rashawn and Nicola. One of the things about Rashawn, and you have to realize it, this is not a young team. This is not necessarily an inexperienced team, but they haven't been at CSU very long. And Rashawn is the veteran. Rashawn is back and has played more minutes than anybody in a CSU uniform, than anybody on the team. And he will be an integral part of the team. You know, I talk about Rashawn in terms of when he plays 15 minutes or more, this is a hell of a team. They don't lose. I think he's 26-5, something like that, when he plays 15 minutes or more, keeping him healthy, keeping on the floor, looking for minutes out of him. Very, very important. And Nicola looked real good too. Nicola looked healthy. He struggled last year, like I said, didn't practice, wasn't here for a bunch of the summer, had a hard time getting into it. He's ready to go. So that's the seven I watch, and I watch mostly the green team. I have to admit, I was a little biased, but you know, I let me talk a little about the guys on the white team, because they certainly I saw some things there too. I don't want to draw any conclusions about playing time at this point. I really don't, because I can remember seeing, when you see guys in white and you see guys in green, that doesn't mean anything. That's just the start of the year. There were times last year when I saw Kyan Evans in white, and we know how important he was in terms of starting, and he started every game, and what an important player he became over the course of the season. So let's just talk about this. Let me talk about the white team. Let's talk about a couple of the guards. I want to talk about Darnez Slater and Jojo McIver. No readiness, no issues. They're ready. They have the physicality. They have the athleticism. I was talking to somebody, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time, like I said, on these guys, but one of the interesting things, I heard a great comp for Jojo. Jojo has huge reach. I believe he's got nearly a 7-foot wingspan, I think 6'10" wingspan at 6'2", and so great defender, but also moves very well. Good with the ball too, and I think we'll see what happens as he develops, but good chance he'll play some minutes this year. But the comp for him was a guy that played in another school. And I think it's because of the way he's built. He's not that far off from Lamont Butler Jr., who was an all-conference player from San Diego State, probably the best perimeter defender. And I think there'll be high hopes for Jojo to develop. And of course, in the NIL area, not just high hopes for Jojo to develop, but will we be able to keep him? Who knows? I don't even want to talk about it. He hasn't played a minute for CSU. And Darnez made some good plays as well. Like I said, they're both physically ready to go. They're athletes. Let me talk about the bigs. Kyle Jorgensen. Kyle was with the white team. Kyle could easily have been with the green team. And Charlie Dortch also played. Charlie's a walk-on from Rocky Mountain High School. Good player. I don't think he's going to play. He might get in, but he's an important component in terms of practice and being on the scout team. And he injured himself last year. He sat out a bit with I believe a broken foot, but he's back and he's ready to go. I will say this about Kyle. He looks a little bit stronger. I talked with Jason Phillips. I talked to Kyle a few days ago, and he looks a little bigger to me. He goes, "Yeah, he's getting there. He's got a ways to go, but he's getting there, and he's working really, really hard." The fun part about Kyle, he can shoot, and I watch him at the end of a shot clock Ball got fumbled. He ended up with the ball about 30 feet away, gave somebody a shot fake, got him up in the air, and then shot a 30-footer and made it. So that wasn't an accident. He's a very, very good shooter. Let me talk about the wings. Dr. Tedeschi, John McConan, and then last but not least, Carey Booth. All of them can shoot it. I saw Mechan nailing 3 balls from the corner. I saw him finishing at the rim. Docker has a beautiful, very, very good form on his jump shot. He can shoot from the perimeter at 6'8", 190. Physically, he's probably one of the big projects for the summer. Will he be ready to go at any point at any time this year? I don't know. Doubtful, to be honest with you. But this kid is going to be a player. As he gains weight, gets stronger, he already looks like he understands the game and can fit in. He didn't look lost at all during the drills they did during the 5-on-5 stuff. He looked fine, and like I said, he can shoot it. So, but again, he's a project physically. And now I want to get to Carey Booth, because this is going to be a topic all of us are watching. Carey Booth comes to CSU as the highest rated recruit out of high school out of this group of players. He was the 55th ranked player in the class of 2023. Yeah, 2 years ago. Played a year at Notre Dame. Was recruited by Penn State. Coach left to Penn State. Played about 20 minutes a game and was good for about 7 points and 5 rebounds as a freshman at Notre Dame in the ACC. Did a decent job. Had the athleticism. Transferred to Illinois and sat. And I can tell you right now that what I saw was a tremendous paradox on the floor. I saw probably the best athlete out of everybody out there. And like I said, I had the highlight of him dunking in transition. And that wasn't an easy dunk because he had to split a lot of people. He had to put the ball on the floor and go through a lot of people. But I also saw some other plays where you see him attack the rim and dunk. You see him attempt, an attempted offensive rebound tip in, and it wasn't a tip in. He attempted a violent dunk and just missed it. This was the stuff of an athlete. But I'm going to say he physically, and this is me saying, this is me talking. I was disappointed, and the reason I was disappointed was I would expect a guy who's been 2 years in top Division I programs to be further along physically. Like I said, an incredible athlete, but he really needs to hone his body in terms of his strength. He still looks like a gangly kid, and I had somebody at practice tell me he looks like a young Marcus Camby, the way he plays. I mean, he can really play, but he's going to be a project physically. He can shoot it, he can dunk it, he can put it on the floor. He has all kinds of skills, but until he gets there physically, and it's going to be a lot of work this summer. I look forward to seeing where this is headed. But my initial reaction was, we're all hoping for a Nick Clifford. And I'm going to talk about Nick in a little bit, but we're all hoping for the same situation with Nick. 2 years left to go. Highly recruited player out of Colorado, coming from a Power 4 program. How long is it going to take for him to be a number 1 draft choice? And I will tell you, Carey is not as far along as Nick was. Carey has a ways to go, and it might take some time for him to develop over the course of this year. Can he get to where I'm telling you, the sky's the limit for this guy, just like it was for Nick, but he's got a longer way to go. And as a big man, it's not easy either. He's 6'10", about 210, 215. He's fast. He can run. He can jump. But he's not ready. He's not ready, I don't think, to compete for 30, 35 minutes a night. That's Carey. And I'm excited to watch because, this staff takes pride in development. Carey really wants to be here. I am going to enjoy watching how he develops. And at some point this summer, we're going to have strength and conditioning coach Jason Phillips on. I'm going to have him on in July after he has about another month to work with these players, and we're going to get an idea of. We're going to have some fun, but I did ask him. I said, "Who are your three big projects now?" And he pointed to three players. And I kind of hinted at it already: Kyle Jorgensen, Dr. Tedeschi, Carey Booth, and he has a lot of work to do, and he is committed. Jason's been a very, very important component, he's not a cog. He's a very strategic part of this staff in the player development and getting them ready in terms of strength and conditioning. And so we'll see. We'll follow up with him in another month or so. But like I said, those are the three. It's not that everybody else doesn't need to work, because they sure as heck do. But those are the three that I think are gonna be bear the brunt of the next month. And realize this isn't just lifting weights. There's a lot of other things that goes into this in terms of diet, eating habits, what to eat, what not to eat. They're going to learn, and this is run. The strength and conditioning program is run like an NBA team, and that's why you see the development of the players over the last few years, with the guys like David Roddy, with the guys like Isaiah Stevens, with the guys like Clifford. So anyway, that's my first look at the team, and I looked at Ali after practice. We didn't talk much after practice, but I looked at him and said, "I don't envy you. You've got a lot of good players." And this is always the hard, he hasn't made any decisions. They're just grouping players, and they're just trying to teach. And every coach around the country, these teams are all so new. Every coach is going about it in a similar ways, trying to figure things out. And over time, and they've got 4 months. Who's going to learn? Who's going to be ready to play? Who's going to work the hardest? Who's going to emerge as leaders? Who's going to have their roles defined and understand that their roles, they may be used to being a starter, and their role may be defined differently. I can point to the success of the teams the last 2 years. 2 years ago, Jaylen Lake had started as a sophomore and had to come off the bench as a junior. And he accepted that role, and he was very much a key component of that team. He'd come off the bench and play. He basically played starters minutes. This past year, you look at guys like Ethan Morton and Bowen Bourne. Bowen has a 1,500-point scorer when he came to CSU and was a bench player. Ethan Morton, coming from a Purdue team, had played in a ridiculous number of wins, NCAA tournament games, had started for Purdue, and decided he needed a change because things weren't where he wanted to be. But he still came off the bench at CSU. And if you look at how that team developed and how those two accepted their roles, that was critical. And that's what's going to have to happen this year, because we're going to have similar kinds of situations. I'm not even going to predict who it is or who it's going to be. Like I said, I lean toward two guys as starters right now: Rex Steiner and Pasquarelli. I had somebody whisper to me Pasquarelli will be a newcomer of the year candidate in the Mountain West. I don't know. I hope so. I think Augie could do it too. We could see Rex Steiner could be something as well. So we'll see. But it's going to be fun. And it was, like I said, it was great to be back. It was great to see. Great to see my good buddies in the program, and over the next few months, we'll start having players on. Here we go. We back up. Jake, good to see you, buddy. And here we go. Aaron out there as well. Let me, before I close. Oh God, this has gone forever. I sure know how to talk, don't I? Spent a lot of time doing this. let's talk a little bit just about what's coming next week. Like I said, I'm going to try and get Brandon on the show, Rechsteiner, and I want to do it Thursday night, but I may not. Wednesday night, I'm going to do a special show, NBA draft show, and we want to be live when, and I invite everybody out there that's part of the community to join me, and let's have some fun. But I'll come on. The draft starts at about 6:00 Mountain Time. The first player will be picked probably about 6:10 or 6:15. And every pick it's 5 minutes between picks now. It's fast. It's kind of machine gun fashion now. So the first dozen picks should be done by a little bit after 7:00. And the latest on Nick Clifford today, Nick was, it was publicized that Nick was invited to the green room for the NBA draft back in New York. I believe it's in Brooklyn. We had all, those of us who had talked to Nick, I had reached out to him a few weeks ago, knowing that he wasn't going to be available to me the night of the draft because he's going to be a busy boy. But I reached out and I said, I'd love to get your parents on. He says, well, they're probably going to be back with me in New York. And I said, yeah, that's right. So no chance of getting any of the Cliffords. Ali and Nico, it turns out both of them will be joining Nick back in New York in the green room. And the latest has Nick. I'm expecting Nick to go sometime by about between 7 and 8 o'clock. So I'll come on a little bit right around 7 o'clock. And I invite everybody to come on. The only person, I tried to get him live, but he's not going to be able to make it, but he's going to join me to do a pre-tape talking about Nick is none other than the greatest player in the history of Colorado State University men's basketball, Isaiah Stevens. Isaiah said he'd do a pre-record with me. So we'll do a pre-record talking about Nick and catching up with Isaiah as well. And then the other person I reached out to yesterday, he doesn't know if he's going to be able to make it. He said he might. Depends on his DNVR responsibilities. He thinks he might get pulled into the draft coverage for DNVR. Justin Michael, but we'll see if we can get Justin on. But we'll see if we can have some people on. But please join me. I'm looking forward to that on Wednesday night. We'll have some fun and celebrate Nick. What a story! I think he'll go somewhere between. He could go as high. I've seen him as high as like 12. I think he's going to go somewhere between 16 and 24. Don't know where, don't know who, but he's going to go first round, and he could end up being the highest draft pick in the Mountain West since Anthony Bennett in, I want to say 2013. And I'll have some other stats about this, but it's actually exciting. So, I have a comment from Taylor. I didn't see this before. I'm sorry, Taylor. Off topic, but some non-con schedules that come out for other teams. Do you think we'll get that soon from the Rams? I don't know. I'm sure they're still working on it. We've seen some games. Obviously, they're going to the Bahamas for their multi-team event, the Atlantis event. They have Loyola on the road and CU at home on December 6th. I remember that date because that's my daughter's birthday and the day before my anniversary, and we're all looking forward to that. So, but that's all I know. But I don't know how soon. Well, I'll see if I can do some follow up with Ali on that stuff. So that's next Wednesday's show. And then sometime next week, I'll see if I can get Brandon Rechsteiner on. We'll see if we can start with him. And then we'll start going through a series of a show or two a week, getting to know the players, getting to know the new coaches. We've got not just Pilipovich, as I talked about before, but Jimmy Foster, who joins us from Bradley, Cole Gentry, who joined us. I found out yesterday Baylor Heb is back. Baylor played with the team for a couple of years, transferred out after the 23 season to UTEP. He's back as a graduate assistant, so it'll be fun to catch up maybe with him. So all kinds of fun stuff scheduled for the summer. I'm really looking forward to I don't, you know them as well as I do now. I'm really looking forward to getting to know them. And like I said, Jeban can't wait to come on with Tom. I had a fun little talk with Jace Butler is going to be a great guy to have on. Rex Steiner, I reached out to him over I DM'd him, and he got back to me, and so he said anytime we'll figure it out. So everybody's excited. So Jake going Baylor Heb, yeah, Baylor's back as a graduate assistant. I think that's awesome. So he's got a lot of experience. He played a year at Loyola, 2 years at CSU, and then 2 years for UTEP. So he's back. Very, very smart player. He'll be a good fit. So that's what's going to be coming over the next few months. Just one more thing. As you see, I have Highland Meadows as a sponsor. But I'm really dying to, and that's just for the summer right now. But I'm hoping to build up to develop my relationship with sponsors. So if you know anybody interested in sponsoring a show, I'm going to reach out to the local Fort Collins community starting in July. I just remembered I haven't told the story of my new orange shirt. Why am I wearing a new orange shirt? Tomorrow, my wife and I fly to San Antonio, Texas for the weekend. And on Monday morning, we pick up our puppy, Bowen. Bowen and his litter was color coded as Mr. Orange. So orange shirt for Bowen, Mr. Orange. I got a new orange shirt. I will greet the breeder and meet Bowen wearing my new orange Colorado State Aggies t-shirt. But getting back to the sponsorship, I'll reach out starting in July to local businesses, and we'll offer just a whole variety of things, but similar to what I'm doing with Highland Meadows. Well, I'll do readouts and ads, and we'll do logos, we'll do QR codes if somebody's interested in promoting something, and obviously banners as well. So just a whole variety of things, and we'll figure that out. But hopefully, if you know somebody, like I said. Jake with who's next? David Cohn. David Cohn was one of my favorite players, and I'll never forget how Stacey gave up on him because he had a bad turnover and basically sat his ass down for the rest of the season, and that's why he transferred. He was a good player. Nevada Sportsnet, CSU number 6 in the preseason rankings. Too high, too low, just right. Well, let's see. We started at 7 last year and ended up second. So if we start at 6 and move up 5 spots, I think that would be okay. I'm not going to get hung up on preseason rankings. I think everybody is in love with certain teams, and I can find you the reason why you should be in love with the team and why you should be scared to death about a team. You just don't know. Every roster is so new. Everybody thinks San Diego State's going to be a top 25 team, and they have talent, but what have they finished the last 2 seasons with talent? I think they've been 4th place and 5th place, or 5th place twice. And so, they've had injury issues. Their best players had injury issues last year. Miles Bird, Reese Waters, Magoon Guath. There's no guarantees that those guys won't be hurt. You don't know. Big guys especially. I'm not rooting for them to get hurt. I'd love to see them because I think Guath is a great player. I like Miles Bird. Reese Waters is a very good player. He was a Nick Clifford level player before he got injured. So he could end up being something. So they could be good. But there's a perfect example of a team. You just don't know. Everybody's raving about UNLV's recruiting class and how wonderfully athletic they are. And then you start reading stuff on social media about, they ought to have a dunking contest. These guys could win NBA dunking contests. And I start laughing. I go back about 10 years. They brought a team into Moby Arena, and you should have seen them in pregame warmups. Derek Jones Jr., who's won the dunk contest, was on that team. They had all kinds of guys that could dunk like crazy. And if you watched them in pregame warmups, you'd go, holy shit. And then they lose by freaking 16 points because they have no idea how to play the game. Dunking isn't basketball. Dunking is fun. in pregame warmups. The only time a dunk is meaningful is when you get a rebound and dunk over somebody going to the basket. It's not a breakaway dunk and being flashy. It's being physical in the paint and grabbing a rebound and then just powering through somebody. Those are the guys to watch for. And as pretty as those dunks were in pregame, those UNLV guys, I don't know if they can play. Who knows? Maybe they can. Maybe they'll win the league. Who knows? New Mexico, new coach, all new squad. Who knows? Good players. Nevada, who knows? Boise State, I think they'll be decent. They returned some players. They got some players in the portal. Who knows whether that all fits together? So, again, I'm not going to get hung up on it. I like CSU's roster. Like I said, there's some challenges. I did have one of the returning players tell me, he said, I think we might have a chance to be better than last year. And of course, I'm always skeptical of that. That could be just talk. But if you watched practice yesterday, you saw the pieces. And now it's time, on a daily basis for them to work their way through summer workouts. I believe they get, I believe it's all of 8 hours of time with the coaching staff. But it's up to them to start working, start understanding, start learning, and we'll see where this thing goes. Anyway, I'm gonna call it a show. Thank you, everybody, for participating. I'm actually surprised we had as many as we've had this afternoon. Kind of a weird time. I just did it, like I said, I didn't want to interfere with the NBA finals. I'm hoping it ends tonight, so I don't have to read about foul merchants and that stuff anymore. I'm tired of it. I'm ready to get on with this season. I'm ready to pick up a puppy. Let's call it a day. Go Rams.